Yeah.
Something else?
Yeah, so I think that the difference that I'm trying to figure out right there is, like, there's like the to-do list, there's these things that we've got to get done, and there's like a action piece to it, and then there is just what you just said, just letting go of that. Because I know exactly what it feels like when I'm in that flow, when the people come to us, when it's working out perfectly. But somehow I have been, I guess maybe because it's a transition, it's new, and I feel like I got to stick to my to-do list. I got to get my stuff done.
Don't give yourself any excuses, because of course it's all those things, but it's something deeper than that. The thing that it is that is deeper, you hit on in your first words to us. I didn't take the time to make sure I was there before I received inspiration. Let's put it in a different way. We've never said this before. I got my inspiration from someplace other than my alignment. I was inspired, motivated is a better word for it, but I got my inspiration from need, or I got my inspiration from the people who we merged with, or I got my inspiration from, I'm looking for love in all the wrong places. I'm looking for inspiration in all the wrong places. I'm letting the wrong things, when it's off from that core beginning, it's going to stay off for a while until you feel like this, and then you're asking a bigger question. That resonates completely with you, doesn't it? It's sort of like, this is going to sound like a scanty analogy, but it really says it like it is. It's like buying a wonderful contraption that has the ability to do a lot of things for you, and it's got a battery in it, but you're too busy to put the battery in it. So you didn't put the battery in it, but you've got the instruction book out and you're doing everything else. You're pushing all the right buttons, you're doing every single thing that the manual says, and the damn thing is not giving you the results that you want because you didn't put the battery in it. You didn't hook up to the power, you didn't hook up to the energy. And so do that first thing. Put the battery in. When you wake up in the morning, get the power turned on. Get the power turned on. And then once you're in sync with that, ideas will start flowing. Ideas will start flowing, and oh, do they feel good when they flow. We understand what it's like to be fully integrated in life with so many demands being made of you, and feeling like you need to respond to those demands. Jerry would say to Esther, let's meditate and then take a walk, and Esther would say, I don't have time to do that. See my list? This is the list that I'm using to justify my existence today, and nowhere on it does it have time for that. And we say you don't have time not to do that, because when you turn the power on, then you've got this leverage. Then you're tapped in to the universal Google, you're tapped into the universal navigational system, you're tapped into the universal concierge in the sky, you're tapped in to all of the right impulses and all the right timing and all of the right things that come out of your mouth. You're tapped into all of that. But until you do that, you're just sort of bumbling around on an equal par with the other crazy people that you share your world with.
Yeah.
You see,
100%.
your contraptions are feeding you constant information from others. Turn them off for a little while. Turn them off for a little while and get in alignment. You don't allow yourself what feels to you like the luxury of tuning in to your receptive mode, and yet everything that you want will come from that, and nothing that you want will come without it. It's just puny, paltry bits and pieces and snatches of the good stuff that you want, while the flow, the true flow, you are depriving yourself of. Don't you think it is interesting that as you compiled your things that you wanted to talk about, that the very first thing that you were inspired to say is the only thing that we're saying back to you? In other words, you've got it, you know it. We have just spent this time wanting to put it into perspective for you so that you will benefit from this easy decision of alignment first and whatever you were inspired to later. You see, you put all of the pieces into your vortex, and your inner being knows every one of them, how they fit together, and how all of that fits together with everyone else. In other words, your inner being knows where you stand in relationship to everything that you want and what the path of least resistance is to get you to it. And so the more you have listened to us and the more that you have lived life, the more when you are not up to speed, in other words, even as we have these conversations and you are listening in, more is going into the vortex. Don't you feel just from this conversation a whole lot of resolve happening within you? Didn't you feel yourself putting more into the vortex? Aren't you more clear about who you are and what you want? And don't you feel more of a determination to hook up with this energy that creates worlds and experience the leverage of that power? And don't you remember those times when you've been in that flow and how things felt to you? And what we want to emphasize is that's the way life is supposed to feel for you. And because it has felt that way for you from time to time, frequently in many cases, it's felt that way to you, and now you have that conscious realization of it. In other words, this is your knowledge. Then when you defy your own knowledge, it feels extra off. And that's exactly where you are. And that's where Esther was this week too. She was so mad that she was mad. She was so mad that she was mad. And she was so mad that it became so clear to her that she'd made a decision, not from here, but from here. So mad at herself when we say that's not step 5. Step 5 is being back in step 1 and not being mad at yourself for being back in step 1. Step 5 is understanding that this mastery is something that you're accomplishing all of the time, and that there's no right or wrong to it. There's just more alignment and less alignment, and more alignment and less alignment. And it's sort of like when you get used to things feeling really good, you want to throw a little fit when they don't feel good. And we don't want you to adapt to not feeling good. We think the fit is better. Did we get there for you?
All the way.
This is a really good time for a segment of reflection.
I want to express my appreciation and gratitude for seeing you today and the teachings that you help clarify.
And we want to express our appreciation for all of you leading edge creators playing with us and helping us to come to new awarenesses. Have you felt them already? New things happening here today, new clarifying things that now you know them will serve you, will serve all of us.
I have recently been studying some vintage Abraham and really enjoying it.
That's because everything that we've ever told you fits with everything that we are now telling you without exception. It all fits.
It does.
It all fits because it's all vibrationally accurate, which means it is always vibrationally in keeping with the law of attraction. Infinity and eternity is timeless.
To further expand it, yeah. One of the focuses I've been listening to is about expectation. And in listening to it, I recalled that as I was growing up, I was told often, expectation diminishes joy. And I realized as I was listening to some of the...
Well, not being in alignment with my own expectation diminishes joy. You're helping us to say something that we've never said before. Think about this vortex and think about your inner being there. And let's call that expectation. What about that? Expectation, because your inner being knows what you want and feels no doubt about it. And so that is perfect expectation. So expectation does not diminish joy. Expectation is joy. Being off of it vibrationally diminishes your joy. In other words, what that statement says is you cannot focus in opposition to who you are and all that you've become and feel good at the same time. We would call that a diminishment of joy. You cannot focus in opposition to who you really are and what the source within you knows you to be.
When I was listening to it, I was extrapolating even further. What would have probably been more accurate to be told was expectation without belief diminishes joy.
Well, expectation includes desire and beliefs. Expectation is the whole thing. Desire and belief all rolled together. That's what expectation is, and that's what your inner being holds. But a lot of times people use the word expectation when they doubt, and we think that's an improper use of the word. or of the word in the way that we mean it to be, because you get what you expect all the time. If you expect things not to go well, they don't go well, you see. And we get it, how what you're observing does cause your expectation. In other words, as we were talking just a moment ago about what causes that, in other words, observation of what is what often keeps you from being a vibrational match to what you're really wanting. And it's not an easy thing to observe what you don't want without that momentum taking over.